So good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this side event to the ECOSOC Partnership Forum, which has as its title, Bananas as a Global Model for Agricultural Cooperation, leveraging partnerships to drive fair, climate-smart, and inclusive value chain. Please note that Spanish interpretation is available, so the event will take place in both languages, English and Spanish. So my name is Pascal Liu. I work in the Markets and Trade Division of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, where I lead the unit working on responsible global value chains. And it's my pleasure to introduce Lauren Phillips, who's the director of FAO's Partnership and UN Collaboration Division, who will now give the opening remarks for this side event on behalf of FAO. Lauren, you have the screen.
Thank you very much, colleagues, and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this virtual side event for the ECOSOC Partnership Forum, which is being organized by the FAO and the World Banana Forum. And I think that this event is really an opportunity for us to think about the messages of the Partnership Forum, as well as those of the 2030 Agenda, that sustainable development can really only be achieved if we have effective, inclusive, and well-governed multi-stakeholder partnerships. And that's because agri-food systems have a number of challenges that they're facing, which include climate change, inequality, and volatility. And addressing those challenges really requires us to work across sectors and disciplines and regions to address this through partnerships. And multi-stakeholder collaborations like the one that we're going to hear about today are really at the core of how FAO works in partnership. And that I wanted to highlight the fact that these sort of multi-stakeholder partnerships like this one that we're going to talk about today help to mobilize different types of resources, but also expertise and perspectives. And that can help us to find better solutions. And FAO is really happy to convene and to host these kinds of platforms in order to leverage on our normative experience, our research and our data, but also on our ability to bring actors together. So speaking a little bit more specifically about the sector, we know, and I'm sure that the colleagues who are here today joining me on this side event and panel will mention that bananas are one of the most traded fruits in the world, and they are a vital source of livelihoods for smallholder farmers and workers in a number of countries in the global south. But this sector faces a number of challenges related to sustainability, resilience, climate change, and inclusion, and no single actor can address those challenges alone. So the World Banana Forum really exemplifies an approach and action to create a space to bring together actors and value chains and to bring technical partners as well to advance sustainability and equity across the value chain. I think that the lessons that we'll hear about today go beyond the single commodity that we'll hear about, because what we're trying to get at by featuring the World Banana Forum today is how multi-stakeholder partnerships can help to transform agri-food systems value chains, and how they can build trust and shared responsibility and collective problem solving. So I just wanted to finalize by thanking distinguished panelists who, as members of the World Banana Forum, are bringing their perspectives to us today. And I'm confident that the discussion will provide useful insights into how we can better use partnerships to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, and then more broadly supporting agri-food systems transformation. So I thank you all for your attention. I'll pass back to Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren, for these welcome remarks and for introducing and setting the frame for this side event of today. So I think it's important to realize that we have less than 5 years to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and implement the Agenda 2030. Time is running, and we are late. We are really late on many aspects of the SDGs. So I think we should really harness the potential that multi-stakeholder partnerships can offer, as these are really critical to achieving the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goal, particularly in complex global value chains. And banana value chains are part of these complex value chains. Global banana value chains generate more than $10 billion per year, overwhelmingly for developing countries, for rural families and small farmers, medium farmers, large farmers in developing countries. And banana global value chains include a broad diversity of actors. So that's why, working together at global level, at regional level, and at local level with all the actors that are involved is so important. So today we will discuss an example of a successful multi-stakeholder partnership that supports fair, climate smart, and inclusive banana value chains, namely the World Banana Forum. So in a few words, what is the forum? The forum is a permanent global platform that promotes sustainable banana production and trade. So it's not only concerned with the production part, the primary production, but also all along the supply chain. And it supports the dissemination of good practices. That's very important. The Banana Forum validates, analyzes, validates, and disseminates these good practices. The forum was founded in December 2009 during a multi-stakeholder conference that was hosted by FAO, and that followed a series of multi-stakeholder meetings organized with all stakeholder groups, preparatory meetings between 2007 and 2009. Before this, interestingly, civil society organizations had organized 2 international banana conferences, the first one in 1998 and the second one in 2005. And in that second International Banana Conference, there was a clear realization by all the participants, from companies, civil society, governments, and others, that a permanent platform was necessary to discuss the many challenges facing the banana industry and to look for solutions together with all stakeholders. So the members of the World Banana Forum are farmer associations, companies all along the supply chain, from production to export, import, retailing, ripening, including also national and multinational companies, governments, worker unions, civil society organizations, research institutes, and development agencies. There are also certification bodies and standard-setting organizations. And we also have another 2 intergovernmental organizations participating, namely the International Labour Organization and the United Nations Conference for Trade and Development, ILO and UNCTAD. What's interesting in the World Banana Forum is that the members itself of the forum are by far the main source of funding for the forum and its activities. The structure is multi-stakeholder. We have a steering committee that guides the implementation of the activities of the forum, which consists of the various groups of stakeholders, which are equally represented. Also, the various regions are represented. An advisory board, 3 working groups along the 3 dimensions of sustainability, namely environmental, social, and economic, a number of task force, commissions, and of course, every 2, 3, or 4 years, a global conference that gathers all the interested stakeholders of the banana sector. Now, after this brief introduction to the forum, it is my pleasure to introduce the panelists to this, our distinguished panelists for today. We first have Mario Arvelo, who is the director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Dominican Republic. We have Victor Prada, who is the secretary of the World Banana Forum, working at FAO. José Antonio Hidalgo, executive director of the Ecuadorian Association of Banana Exporters. Marike de Peña, who is the CEO ad interim of Fairtrade International. Emerson Aguirre, president of AUGURA, a Colombian banana producer organization. Christelle Owona, sustainability manager at Compagnie Fruitière, a banana producing and exporting company. And then Adela Torres, coordinator of the Latin American coordination of banana unions, banana worker organizations. So with this, after introducing the panel, it will be my pleasure to ask the first question to Mr. Mario Arvelo, who is the director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Dominican Republic. So Mario, the Dominican Republic is the largest banana exporting country in the Caribbean. And we know that the Caribbean is a challenging region for banana production due to its geography, but also the climate, in particular frequent hurricanes. We also know that the Dominican Republic is doing quite well in exporting organic bananas, fair trade bananas, different types of sustainability certification, and also in terms of having a large number of producer organizations that include small and medium scale producers. So as the representative of an exporting country, what do you consider to be the main advantages for your country of being part of the World Banana Forum that you know quite well because you have been involved in many aspects of the forum? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Pascal, and Victor, and your team, everybody at FAO for inviting me to this. I did spend a lot of time working alongside you in Rome as a representative to FAO, IFAD, and WFP. Now, as you said, I'm at the Foreign Ministry of the Dominican Republic, and I see that I am the only participant in the panel who comes from government. So that's a big responsibility. And your question is very opportune and very appropriate. I will not lecture anyone about the challenges and the problems that the banana sector faces. Lauren has introduced the subject, and you yourself have talked about all of these issues. I would like to answer your question by first recalling something that in the discussions at the WFB and among colleagues, I never quite heard, and I was practically the only one to bring it up, and that is the concept of a banana republic. This is something that came up from political scientists and journalists at the beginning of the past century, the 20th century, and that referred to countries like my own, the Dominican Republic and other small island developing states in the Caribbean and the republics of Central America that were dependent upon a single export, maybe 2 or 3, in our case, was also sugarcane. And that led to a number of mishaps in terms of governance internally and in terms of our international relations. And that term, the concept of a banana republic, even as our economies diversify, has been kept out in the open to refer to countries that are so dependent on very few exports and some sources of revenue. It is associated with governmental corruption, with backwardness, with all of these consequences of dependency. And as you very well put it, hurricanes, for instance, are a true enemy of bananas, and not just hurricanes, heavy rains and winds, because the banana plant is, as we all know in this panel, very, very weak to withstand. So the position of the Dominican Republic in the center of the Caribbean should be, should indicate that it would be a place from which the banana sector would have a firm ground. But sadly, that is not the case, because we have also other challenges that have nothing to do with agriculture or the weak constitution of bananas in terms of biodiversity, which is exploited by pathogens and so on and so forth. And that is because we do not have the power in terms of industrial production that would justify the creation of commercial lanes that would tie up the markets to the producers to the markets. We face enormous challenges, as you very well know, and you yourself, Pascal, could very well present this more eloquently than I do. But these challenges in terms of climate change, sustainability, inequalities, the certifications on organic, fair trade, human rights, and so on, are true challenges. And I would round up, I don't want to take up too much time, but I would round up calling attention upon all that are listening. And that is that in facing these challenges, being, as you say, the Dominican Republic, the largest economy of the Caribbean, and actually between the 6th and 7th largest in the whole of Latin America and the Caribbean, we are faced with these issues. And the only way that we can begin to try to overcome them is through a multi-stakeholder approach, such as the World Banana Forum. I know this very well. as a longtime member and former chair of the CFAs, that's the Committee on World Food Security, the UN Committee on Agriculture, which is also housed at FAO, the International Steering Committee on the Decade of Action on Family Farming. And that is that governments do not have all these answers. Governments in and by themselves, a president, a prime minister cannot sign an executive order, or a parliament cannot pass a law saying the problems faced by the banana producers or any producer of any other product is hereby resolved. And that is why we have the UN system. That is why we have FAO. That is why we have the World Banana Forum and all of these multi-stakeholder platforms that bring together governments, the private sector, academia, the technical partners, the workers' organizations, everyone having to do with bettering the situation and the prospects. So in that sense, may my intervention in response to your answer be one that calls attention upon the fact that we cannot go at it alone. We need to have everyone on board, and we need to work together, hand in hand.
Thank you very much, Mario. And we listened really to your words about the need for collaboration. We cannot go it alone. We need collaboration of all the involved stakeholders across the value chain and across regions also. So thank you for these important comments. We will certainly come back to you at a later stage. But now I would like to turn to Victor Prada, who is the Secretary of the World Banana Forum. Victor, you have played this role of Secretary of the World Banana Forum quite a few years now. And could you please tell us, in your view, what is the added value of the World Banana Forum? And especially, what elements of the World Banana Forum have enabled to translate dialogue between stakeholders into concrete collaboration actions across global banana value chains?
Thank you very much, Pascal. So good afternoon, good morning, Excellencies, dear colleagues and partners, members of the World Banana Forum. It is a pleasure to join this ECOSOC Partnership Forum side event and to reflect on how the banana sector and the World Banana Forum can help advance fairer, more resilient and more inclusive agricultural value chains. Bananas, as our director of PSU, Ms. Phillips, mentioned before, are the most widely traded fresh fruit globally. So it's a huge commodity. It's the fourth most important agricultural commodity nowadays for developing countries, and all of that, most of that is produced in the south. So this value chain is unusually broad, and what we do in the World Banana Forum is linking smallholders and plantation workers, exporters, retailers, government, civil society, research institutions, and technical agencies to work together. We are a unique platform of assembly that is this extension and capacity to have a critical mass of partners is what makes bananas such a powerful stress test for sustainable development. The sector, as mentioned by Pascal before and also by Mario, concentrates most of the challenges that other value chains face, from decent work to occupational health and safety, human rights risk, climate impact, agrochemical use, disease threats, pathologies, agrochemical use, and persistent pressures around the value distribution. The bananas is the favorite fruit in supermarkets, and therefore that triggers a strong competition of retailers. Therefore, that trickles down to lower prices for producers. So in that sense, the banana sector functions as a global laboratory for partnerships, and where shared responsibility, which is something we used a lot, is not a slogan, but a practical necessity. It's something that we need to work on, and then it's supposed to be the responsibility of all of us to make this extremely big value chain something sustainable. So against this backdrop, The World Banana Forum has, over the past 16 years now, proven that it's permanent and it's an inclusive platform that translates a dialogue into real world change with tangible results. So Pascal mentioned how we can move from the question is how we can move from a permanent dialogue on a platform where we can discuss the challenges of the banana industry to tangible results. And then the World Banana Forum has steadily grown to have this critical mass of partners that I've mentioned before, public and private, from the north and from the south, who stayed engaged over time. It's not easy. Sometimes cooperations work for the first few years, but then the energy evaporates, that diminish the energy to work together because we have different agendas, and it's complicated to keep a group of stakeholders as we have in the World Banana Forum working together for so many years, as mentioned now, 16 years. So this engagement over time is, a drive for change. So this continuity matters. I think it's important that we manage to create trust, that we manage to reduce fragmentation, that we manage to diminish the buying power. The World Banana Forum is demand-driven. Therefore, we need to address the requests of the different constituencies and work on how we can create a common agenda for the betterment of the banana industry. And that triggers a unique example of pre-competitive cooperation. The World Banana Forum has also served as a neutral vehicle for dialogue, as mentioned before, to better understand, emerging regulatory expectations. That includes, for example, the European Union's Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive and related sustainability reporting requirements. These developments have occupied substantial space within the forum through dedicated webinars, technical briefings, and structured discussions by convening producers, retailers, companies, work organizations, and technical partners in the same forum. The World Banana Forum has helped stakeholders interpret complex and evolving obligations, new obligations that before were voluntary standards, into something mandatory, and identify together practical implications for the banana global supply chain, and explore realistic pathways of implementation. And also trying to preserve always what is the mandate of the FAO, to preserve that the forum's role is a neutral convener rather than an advocacy actor for a single constituency. So I think we managed to succeed in that respect, and that's what is how the World Banana Forum demonstrates that partnership can deliver tangible results when this partnership is well structured, evidence-based, and grounded in mutual accountability, the shared responsibility that I've mentioned before. Then how we can demonstrate these tangible results? One of these flagship examples is the Banana Occupation Health and Safety Initiative. The acronym is BOHESI, which is not a simple technical program. It is a governance achievement because it shows what becomes that it is possible that governments, employers, and worker organizations engage in a sustained tripartite approach. In Ecuador, for your information, we have our colleague, Mr. Hidalgo, representing the industry in the country. Bananas, Ecuador is the main banana exporting government, for your information, the main exporting country. And in Ecuador, BOHESI helped catalyze the development of a comprehensive occupational health and safety manual for the banana industry, consolidating legislation that was a bit dispersed before, and translating into standards into practical guidance for implementation. So this work demonstrated how sector dialogue can strengthen national systems. Instead of being a standalone activity, we managed to have institutional impact and protect workers and their communities. The manual became, in 2018, the national manual on occupational health and safety for the banana industry, being its use mandatory according to the Interministerial Agreement 108, and that can support the conditions of 2.5 million workers involved directly or indirectly in the banana industry in the country. So I think this is a substantial example of tripartite achievement. And then being the FAO, the neutral convener to make it happen. A second example could be the work we are doing on environmental footprinting through the carbon-aware footprint tool. The tool provides an industry standard approach aligned with internationally recognized methodologies that enables comparability and credibility across actors. So in practical terms, it gives producers, exporters, and buyers a common standardized technical language or tool to measure, reduce, and report environmental impacts. In occasions, we see that we have different approaches and methodologies, therefore making our work on climate change more complicated. So this is something that aligns the market requirements and social outcomes. Then we work a lot. I will give you a third example of this example of pre-competitive cooperation and then tripartite discussion on fairness and equity. As the World Banana Forum has provided a trusted space to advance on living wage and living income. This is especially relevant in today's political context, where expectations around due diligence and responsible business conduct have risen globally, and where stakeholders need credible, practical pathways to align market requirements with social outcomes. We have many. I don't want to occupy a lot of time, so we've been working also on plant diseases like what we face with TR4. We've been working on certifications and the overwhelming number of standards that populate the industry, making increasing cost and making the exports of bananas more complicated for producers. And then that goes, of course, in detriment of good conditions for workers. So we promoted this harmonization of and mutual recognitions, these different standards and how we can enable a unique example of cooperation also with certification schemes. So what's the broader message, just to wrap up for ECOSOC? The banana sector shows that when partnerships are permanent, when we bring all actors to the table, as we do in the World Banana Forum, as mentioned by Pascal, we're a very inclusive platform with all the constituents. Part of our discussions is when we combine policy dialogue with practical tools, as mentioned before, we go from dialogue to tangible results in the field. We can generate solutions that can be replicable, and that we can escalate. So this is fully aligned with the purpose of this side event, to show bananas as a model of multi-stakeholder cooperation that can inspire other agricultural sectors to pursue fair, climate-smart, and inclusive value chains, grounded, as mentioned before, very important, on shared responsibility and mutual accountability. So I will stop here. Pascal, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for sharing your experience as the Secretary of the World Banana Forum. And thank you for sharing this very concrete example of activities by the World Banana Forum on occupational health and safety, with the manual that you have mentioned, the tool on carbon and water footprint, the role of neutral convener of FAO. And I think what you have mentioned, which is very important, I'd like to highlight, is the idea of creating trust and generating a common agenda for the betterment of the banana industry out of this trust. This is very important. So I will now turn to José Antonio Hidalgo. You are the Executive Director of the Association of Banana Exporters of Ecuador. We know that Ecuador is by far the world's largest banana exporting country, with over 6 million tons shipped annually from the country to various destinations worldwide. This is close to, not so far to, of 1/3 of international exports, between 1/4 and 1/3. This is quite an important achievement for a small country like Ecuador. So in your views, José Antonio, as working for an association of banana exporters, how has the forum helped to reconcile the practical challenges faced by producers and exporters with the expectations of major import markets in terms of sustainability, the expectations of importers and the operators downstream the chain, but also requirements? For example, Victor mentioned the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive in the European Union, but we know that there are other requirements, also sustainability requirements in other big importing countries. So according to you, how is the forum doing this? And also in what areas, for example, climate change, occupational health and safety, or dialogue on living wages, has the forum proven most useful for producers and exporters?
Well, first of all, thank you and good afternoon. We, as an association of banana exporters, as AEBE, we represent nearly 70% of the banana exports from our country. And we highly value the World Banana Forum as the unique space for dialogue and collaboration among all actors in the global banana value chain. So the forum has been instrumental in aligning the realities of producers with the growing sustainability expectations coming from the markets, government, civil society in several ways, as you have mentioned in the introduction. So I'm going to wrap it up in some of the most important points, but in inclusive cooperation platform, the World Banana Forum brings together producers, exporters, retailers, importers, governments, trade union, research institutions, and civil society organizations to build consensus around best sustainable practices in the banana production and trade. And this multi-stakeholder collaboration allows us to present a collective voice in response to external demands and to move forward together toward practical solutions that work both on ground and in the marketplace. And this is one of the most important points. Then address concrete environmental sustainability challenges. Through its working groups, the World Banana Forum has promoted initiatives focused on environmental sustainability, including natural resource management, climate change mitigation and adaptation, and the reduction of the environmental footprint of production chains. This helps producers to adjust their practices to meet international market expectations without losing competitiveness. And in social and labor issues, the forum has also generated tools and spaces to address the occupational health and safety, gender equity, and dialogue on living wages. And these are one of the points which we have had several rounds and meetings. And these dialogue platforms ensure that the concerns of workers, producers are heard alongside the expectations of government, civil society, fostering balance and realistic solutions. And this is the most important thing that I would like to highlight: realistic solutions that supports the well-being of the banana growing communities. One example, as also Victor has mentioned, is the BOESI, the collaborative work in the development of the first occupational health and safety manual for banana workers in Ecuador, which today serves as a global reference. And in summary, the strength of the World Banana Forum lies in its ability to foster mutual understanding among all stakeholders, which have different views of the sector. And this is a great challenge worldwide and from different countries as well, and different cultures, and promote the adoption of best sustainability practices and facilitates practical tools that reflects both in production realities and also sustainability demands of the markets and the society as a whole.
Thank you very much, José Antonio, for sharing your experience as an exporter of bananas and the role of executive director of the Association of Ecuadorian Banana Exporters. I would like to take away from what you have said the importance of promoting dialogue on various types of issues, be they environmental, economic, or social, and also you insisted on the need for realistic solutions, practical, realistic solutions that work in the field, that work for producers, for exporters. And also you have highlighted that the strength of the World Banana Forum is its ability to promote mutual understanding and the adoption of best practices for sustainability. So thank you very much for these insights. And now we will turn to Marike de Peña from Fairtrade International. So Fairtrade International is an organization that promotes fair trade, and Fairtrade International and its members have promoted fair trade bananas for about 4 decades now. That's quite a long time already. And with some success, some important success, especially in some markets, in particular in Europe, but also in North America and in other developed countries. So based on your experience, Marike, how has the WBF contributed, the World Banana Forum, how has it contributed to advancing shared understanding and practical cooperation on fair trade, on living wages and living incomes for smallholders? And what distinguishes the World Banana Forum from other international platforms that address similar topics?
Thank you. I will do it in English. I prepared myself in Spanish, but I'm going to English now.
You can use Spanish if you prefer. That's perfectly fine. We have interpretation. It's up to you.
I stay now with the English. José did it in English too, so we do it both. Now, I think the World Banana Forum is definitely the values we represent as fair trade, and also having producers, farmers, and workers in the center of everything we do, is definitely seeking for this fairness, seeking for this inclusiveness, a just transition so that everybody can be better off. It's part of what we do during the last 40 years and in banana during the last 30 years. And I have to say that we represent similar values and principles, and that's also the reason why we have been very active in the forum as Fairtrade International, but also producers of Fairtrade International to the regional producer networks. So what makes this forum strong? I would say it's the neutral and independent coordination. I think this gives it a strong strength to this forum, and because the FAO is independent of whatever commercial interest, so it's able to get all parties on the table, which is a strength. Then the capacity, and there I missed the English word, the convocatoria, to get so many people together, being an agency of the United Nations and sharing also many objectives we as producers, civil society, and companies share, the Sustainable Development Goals, the human rights, respect for human rights and environmental rights, but also all this convenience of the ILO, conventions of the ILO. The inclusive focus, I think that is very important, and what is even more important for me is that the forum has this inclusive focus, recognizing that global value chains do not have a balanced power relationship. So within this reality of global change having different kind of power relationship, the forum has given a voice to those that in global value chains do not always have that voice. And this makes a dialogue far more inclusive, but also far more open, and we can learn about the context we are producing the bananas in, but also the expectations different markets have within that context. So the focus on understanding, learning, and building consensus has been the basis also to drive change. And we have driven quite some change, especially in topics where easier a consensus can be built, like carbon and water footprints, health and safety issues on farming, and others where consensus is probably a little bit more difficult and where further dialogue is needed. Living income is still a quite challenging topic, I would say, and we are still developing it better to understand the reality of smallholders, the income smallholders receive, and how to improve that. Living wages is far better advanced. We have made the first changes, and I think we still need to drive towards a moment where these changes are sustainable in time, and we still have some years to go to 2030. So I would say there is an opportunity to make living wages and living income sustainable. Something that is very close to my heart and that I would say needs a little bit more dialogue is being inclusive and making sure we are not losing smallholders. And especially in Fairtrade, where we always have been working quite a lot with smallholders, we definitely see that we are losing them for different reasons. I live in the country of Miss Mario. So in the Dominican Republic, we have lost over 600 smallholders, and I've worked 30 years with smallholders, and I do think it's time for action. Climate is hitting smallholders as well as bigger farms, but it's far more difficult to stand up again if you are smallholders working with very limited resources. So I think we have made a huge amount of progress. We have a great table of participants. There is more dialogue needed. We need to understand what shared responsibility means in practice, and we need to start a very difficult dialogue is that all that what we want to achieve in practice comes at a cost. So prices still is very relevant, and we need to discuss it. But definitely this is a forum where we have so many actors with so much knowledge and the power to make change. That is what we expect from the Banana Forum, and this is the strength of the World Banana Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marike, for sharing these insights and insisting on the power, not the importance of convening multi-stakeholder dialogue, the importance also of putting fairness at the center of the agenda for the World Banana Forum, as it is at the center of the agenda of Fairtrade International, and the importance also of not getting, all the smallholders lost, but trying to support them and ensure that smallholder banana production can continue, also in difficult situations and challenging geographies like islands in the Caribbean. And of course, we also hear, your call for more dialogue, which is needed on shared responsibility and other issues linked to sustainability. So now we'll turn to Emerson Aguirre, who is the president of AUGURA, which is a national producer association of banana producers in Colombia. Colombia is one of the top 5 banana exporting countries, so it's an important source of bananas for global trade. It also comes from a difficult situation where there was social conflict and a lot of challenges that Colombian banana producers had to face in the past. And even now the situation remains sometimes difficult for some producers for various other reasons. And at the same time, Colombia has also achieved a very high rate of unionization of its workforce in the banana sector. So I think it's also an achievement of the Colombian banana sector to have representative and strong banana worker unions who are there and who are involved in the decision making. But maybe I could ask, maybe from the perspective of producers, because we will have also Adela Torres who will give us the perspective of banana worker unions. From the perspective of producers, Emerson, participation in global platform is only meaningful if it delivers concrete benefits on the ground for producers. Has the World Banana Forum been useful to convey the voice of producers in global discussion on shared responsibility? And also, where do you see its greatest contribution in strengthening dialogue between exporting countries and importing countries? You can answer either in English or Spanish. Both are fine.
Mil gracias. Y muy importante la participación hoy de Colombia y particularmente AUGURA. AUGURA representa cerca del 70% de productores en nuestro país. Y desde nuestra perspectiva, la participación en plataformas globales como el World Banana Forum solo tiene sentido si estas plataformas generan cambios reales en el territorio, como es lo que estamos construyendo en el World Banana Forum. Para nosotros ha sido relevante porque ha logrado algo que no es menor: convertir una conversación fragmentada en un diálogo estructurado y sobre todo multiactor, donde todos los eslabones de la cadena están presentes y ninguno es un accesorio. El World Banana Forum, recordemos, nace bajo el liderazgo de la FAO como un espacio neutral, y esto ha sido clave para que los productores podamos sentarnos en igualdad de condiciones con las comercializadoras, con los supermercados, con sindicatos, con gobiernos, con ONGs, con academia, con sociedad civil. Para organizaciones de productores como AUGURA, esto ha significado que nuestra voz, la voz del productor, no esté solo invitada, sino que se incorpore a la definición de prioridades y enfoques en la agenda global. Uno de los principales aportes del World Banana Forum ha sido ordenar la discusión sobre la responsabilidad compartida, lo que mencionaba mi colega Marike. Durante muchos años, la sostenibilidad ambiental, social, laboral y económica se entendía únicamente como un conjunto de exigencias trasladadas al productor y casi exclusivamente de soporte del productor, venía como un mandato. El World Banana Forum ha abierto ese camino, ayudar a cambiar esa narrativa. Hoy hablamos de responsabilidad compartida porque entendemos que ningún eslabón puede sostener solo el costo de producir de manera responsable. Es un compromiso de todos. Ese cambio de enfoque se ha materializado en trabajos concretos. Y, por ejemplo, también se me adelantó mi amigo José Antonio, en temas e iniciativas importantes, el tema de huella de carbono, el tema de huella hídrica, que han sido fundamentales para avanzar hacia métricas comunes para los productores. Y yo lo digo desde la experiencia de AUGURA. Esto no es un tema técnico menor. Significa tener que responder hoy en día a múltiples metodologías, pero con estos trabajos de huella hídrica, huella de carbono, de una u otra manera, estamos simplificando la tarea. Y es un mensaje que hoy en día también estamos mandando a los mercados. Tenemos que simplificar el mundo de certificaciones que hoy tenemos, porque a mayor número de certificaciones también tenemos un reto muy grande en temas de costos. Y por eso la simplificación y hacer criterios comparables y reconocidos por toda la cadena es un trabajo que se está haciendo en el World Banana Forum. Otro tema muy importante, el tema de sanidad vegetal. El tema de sanidad vegetal no es un tema únicamente de cada uno de los países. Vemos el trabajo que ha hecho el World Banana Forum en materia y frente al tema de Fusarium raza cuadrotropical. Este ha sido otro ejemplo claro de valor agregado. Se trata de un riesgo sistémico para la producción bananera mundial y el foro ha permitido abordarlo de manera integral, algo que exige un compromiso global, pero que sobre todo exige cooperación internacional en el intercambio de información y corresponsabilidad, no respuestas aisladas país por país. Y en el plano social, algo que en Colombia hemos trabajado más de 38 años, que es ese diálogo social con los trabajadores, con la sociedad. Y el World Banana Forum ha abierto espacios, aunque complejos, pero indispensables, para discutir temas como precios justos, distribución del valor, salarios dignos, costos reales de producción, que para AUGURA y los productores que representamos, estos espacios han sido claves para dejar claro que la sostenibilidad social no puede sostenerse solo con buenas intenciones o nuevas normas, sino que requiere compras responsables, contratos estables, pero sobre todo precios que reflejen el compromiso real de toda la cadena. Todavía hay un importante recorrido por hacer, pero el World Banana Forum es la mejor vía para dar estas conversaciones. Y vemos con gran alegría una mayor contribución hacia adelante del World Banana Forum en su capacidad de mantener toda la cadena, insisto, sentada en la misma mesa, con el mismo peso, incluso cuando las conversaciones son incómodas. El foro no reemplaza a los gobiernos ni a las negociaciones comerciales, pero sí cumple un rol esencial: crear confianza, tener ese lenguaje común y unos marcos técnicos que luego pueden traducirse en políticas públicas por nuestros gobiernos, compromisos empresariales y mejores prácticas contractuales. Para finalizar, obviamente, esta pequeña intervención, Desde AUGURA creemos que el World Banana Forum sigue siendo relevante, precisamente porque reconoce a cada actor, cuenta el productor mediano, grande, el pequeño, los trabajadores, los exportadores, los compradores, el gobierno. Si el banano quiere consolidarse como un verdadero modelo global de cooperación agrícola, como lo mencionaba nuestro compañero Víctor, este es el principio donde nadie sobra y que la responsabilidad es compartida. No puede ser retórico, tiene que reflejarse en decisiones económicas concretas a lo largo de toda la cadena e insistir en esta estructura de diálogo social que hemos hecho al interior del World Banana Forum, que obviamente es una experiencia estupenda para el resto de sectores productivos del mundo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Emerson. Thank you very much for sharing these insights on this, and thank you for the interesting considerations that you have shared on the concept of shared responsibility and how the World Banana Forum is promoting this concept of shared responsibility all along the supply chain, from producers down to retailers and even consumers. Thank you also for pointing out the important issue of fair prices, because of course, if there's no fair prices paid to producers, how can they improve their production practices? How can they make their farms and plantations more sustainable if they don't have, the margins, the economic margins that enable investing in sustainability improvements? And also for pointing the importance of responsible sourcing, which goes together with fair prices. So we are now turning to a company, to Christelle Owona, who is the sustainability manager in Compagnie Fruitière, which is an international company that produces and exports bananas across multiple regions and with a strong presence in Africa. We have heard a lot from Latin America and the Caribbean so far, but I think it's also important to remember that Africa is also important in terms of banana production, a lot for domestic consumption, but there's also significant trade in bananas from Africa, significant export flows. And Compagnie Fruitière has engaged in several initiatives of the World Banana Forum. So, Christelle, I would like to ask you, how has the forum helped translate global sustainability discussions, for example, on climate, on the environmental footprint, on labor issues, into operational guidance that companies can implement in a realistic manner?
Thank you, Pascal. Good afternoon or good evening to all of you. And thank you very much for offering the opportunity to share our experience as part of the World Banana Forum. First of all, I would like to stress out that the World Banana Forum has actually enabled all the stakeholders to get to know each other and not look at each other as strangers or foreigners anymore. This has been very critical in actually building confidence among each of the constituencies and further lead to partnerships in developing each of the different programs that we have mentioned, including, for instance, Bohesi, or even working that's on occupational health and safety, or even working on gender topics or collective bargaining with together with NGOs like Banana Link or IUF. So for a company like Compagnie Fruitière, the World Banana Forum has been valuable precisely because it bridges high-level sustainability debates with day-to-day realities in our farms and our supply chains at large. First, it provides a structured space where producers, retailers, trade unions, and civil society can agree on priorities for our sector. So as I was mentioning earlier, from gender equity, climate adaptation,
Sorry, Christelle, we cannot hear you.
Health and safety remains a critical topic. Can you hear me now?
Now, yes, for a few seconds we couldn't hear you anymore, but now we can hear you well.
Okay. I don't know where you lost me, but I'll try and go back. So I was saying that it provides a structured space where producers, retailers, trade unions, and civil society can agree on priorities for our sector. So from gender equity, climate adaptation, health and safety, and living wage. And I was saying that living wage remains a critical topic for our sector. It's critical in the sense that we are still looking at ways of, either defining what a living wage is, how could it translate, depending on our geography, and also what are the tools available to actually bridge that gap when we agree on a living wage. And in that sense, organizations like Fairtrade International have actually been proactive in providing specific tools for producers to also have, different means of bridging that gap. So coming back to the World Banana Forum itself, it translates also international expectations and new due diligence laws, regulation into a clear roadmap for our banana value chain. So this consensus that has been developed since over the years and since the inception creation of the World Banana Forum in 2009 has helped us as a company to also structure even better our own sustainability strategy and focus our efforts where they will have the greatest impact. Greatest impact for us is where it's resonating also for our stakeholders. Second, the forum has developed very practical tools and guidance that we have been able to use into our operations, as we all mentioned today, actually. One of them is our manuals on occupational health and safety, and also methodologies to measure and reduce environmental footprint, including greenhouse gas emissions and water use. These instruments complement the projects that at Compagnie Fruitière we already run on our own farms, and even the ripening facilities to improve working conditions, reduce energy consumption, and protect our ecosystems. And I have to say that it has not always been easy, but we are definitely on a continuous improvement journey. But the tools that we also have available through the World Banana Forum make it easier for our teams to set target, monitor progress, and also to get trained. The webinars that are regularly used are also a powerful tool to actually provide a more information sharing, more knowledge transfer for the teams. Finally, many of the World Banana Forum initiatives are designed as collective approaches, as we have seen so far. Working groups have been developed, especially on environment and environmental sustainability, on labor issues, including gender issues, which is actually a topic that is very close to my heart. Joint training and pilot project in producing countries. So participating in these processes means that our own labor commitments are not implemented in isolation, but as part of a sector-wide efforts. This collective dimension is crucial to make sustainability measures realistic and scalable for companies operating across multiple regions, multiple countries, while ensuring also that the cost and responsibilities are shared more fairly along the value chain. And I will stop just here, but to also emphasize, as it has already been done earlier, that shared responsibility is very key also to this process that we have been able to, implement as part of the World Banana Forum. And there is definitely a new pathway that has been opened. I think most of the participants, the stakeholders of the World Banana Forum are aware of the concept of shared responsibility. And we are actually seeing also the development of a commitment from some retailers, not all of them, but at least the one that are a part of the World Banana Forum, where they're actually more and more committing alongside the producers to this shared responsibility. And I have to also admit that standards like Fairtrade, Rainforest Alliance have also, I think, helped support this transition, which is the key now for all of us, stakeholders of the World Banana Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christelle, for these useful insights, and thank you for insisting also on various types of practical tools that are realistic and can help your company, but also growers that you work with in various countries, especially in Africa. You mentioned the manuals on occupational health and safety, the carbon and water footprinting methods, which are helping the company, and other the WBF webinars also for sharing knowledge, other tools. And it's really striking that you also insist on the adjective realistic, as previous speakers have known. One of the, I think, of the value added of the World Banana Forum is that it's not only discussions, theoretical discussions at high level, but it's also working together with all the actors of the value chain to develop those realistic tools, to test them, to validate them, and then to disseminate them wherever they can help producers and exporters. So we heard a lot from companies. We heard also from government with Mario Arvelo. We heard also from from Fairtrade International. Now we're going to look at the perspective from the workers working on banana farms or large banana plantations. And we will turn to Adela Torres, who is the coordinator of the Latin American Coordination of Banana Worker Unions. So Adela, workers' organizations play a key role in ensuring that sustainability efforts translate into decent work outcomes. From the experience of COLSIBA, how has the World Banana Forum provided space for hearing the voice of workers and for social dialogue? And in your experience, in what areas has the forum been particularly effective? For example, is it in occupational health and safety, in promoting gender equality, in promoting freedom of association or living wages? What is from your perspective and from COLSIBA's experience, what are the areas where the World Banana Forum is contributing to progress, to social progress for workers? You can speak in Spanish if you want. Adela, no te podemos escuchar.
Hola.
Hola, ahora sí.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Un saludo caluroso. Bueno, saludar este importante foro que se está realizando. Yo creo que desde COLSIBA ha sido muy significativo porque COLSIBA ha sido un actor muy importante dentro de la cadena como trabajadores. Desde sus inicios hemos luchado para que podamos tener unas posibilidades de manera dignas y ha sido un espacio clave para garantizar la participación directa de las organizaciones de trabajadores en las discusiones sobre sostenibilidad del sector. O sea, nosotros hemos sido un sector que hemos estado muy atentos a todo lo que se da, pero también siendo propositivos con nuestras experiencias, con nuestras propuestas, para buscar esos mecanismos que permita también tener la sostenibilidad. Desde el sector, desde los sectores en las plantaciones, los trabajadores hemos hecho grandes esfuerzos también para mantener esta sostenibilidad, porque sabemos que es importante para que nos permita que las voces de los trabajadores bananeros sean escuchadas. Entonces, a nivel de ese nivel, a nivel internacional y a nivel pues nacional, todo lo que se hace y todas estas plataformas, todas estas alianzas que se dan, es muy importante porque tanto para para el sector como para los trabajadores, porque estamos actuando en una en un mismo espacio, entonces por eso desde ahí pues ha sido un papel muy importante que el foro le ha permitido la visibilización también a los trabajadores en estos escenarios sobre las condiciones de trabajo en toda la producción, en todo lo que tiene que ver esas cadenas donde se realiza el trabajo. También miramos que a través del foro se han colocado en procesos muy importantes en el debate estructural que ha fundamentado los procesos como lo que tiene que ver salario digno. Hemos hecho muchas discusiones, hemos estado haciendo muchos trabajos en relación a todo esto. Se ha hecho procesos, digamos, de pilotaje porque si bien es cierto, en algunas organizaciones o países, pues se ha avanzado mucho, sabemos que aún nos falta mucho por hacer, pero con todo lo que se ha dado en el foro, pues se ha introducido todo este tema de lo que tiene que ver salario digno en las plantaciones, el tema de seguridad social, la libertad sindical, que ha sido un tema bastante discutido, pero que a la final pues se ha dado el proceso de discusión para que se pueda tener en cuenta. Sabemos que en muchas ocasiones pues no se da, pero seguimos trabajando. Tenemos muchas experiencias significativas en diferentes países también en relación a lo que tiene que ver con la libertad sindical, con las negociaciones colectivas, ese diálogo que nos ha permitido llegar a algunos acuerdos, pero que esa parte pueda tener también la retribución, no solamente de estar ahí, sino que también puede ser retribuido a través de lo que tiene que ver con la sostenibilidad del sector. Hemos trabajado un tema bastante importante y que ha sido de mucha discusión también en el foro, ha sido está en la agenda del foro, en la comisión número 3 que es el tema sobre equidad de género para mejores participación, mejores condiciones de trabajo para las mujeres. Entonces, ha sido bastante significativo y lo tenemos en la plataforma, lo tenemos en la discusión, lo tenemos en las mesas que hemos venido realizando. Entonces, creemos que ha sido un espacio muy significativo para todos, ganador para todos, porque pues, es un tema que no gana una sola parte, sino que ganan todas las partes donde están involucrados las comercializadoras, los supermercados, que son clave en este papel. Y creo que de ahí también hemos venido haciendo un trabajo muy importante. Todo lo que tiene que ver con el cambio climático, todo ese tema se ha venido, pues también ha sido importante porque eso nos permite también poder mejorar condiciones laborales a nuestros trabajadores en las plantaciones. El foro ha permitido también la participación y del diálogo tripartito, que pues hemos estado incluso en escenarios con la OIT, facilitando el intercambio entre sindicatos, empresas y otros actores de la cadena de suministro. Esto ha sido bastante importante porque yo creo que es la forma como debemos de hacer las cosas. Para que las cosas puedan funcionar, pues debe ser así, no dejando al lado una parte, sino que todos estemos involucrados y podamos llegar a las mejores conclusiones y a los mejores acuerdos que permita la garantía de que el sector va a estabilizar, va a estar estable. Cuando hemos tenido que estar en situaciones difíciles, pues ahí nos vamos a encontrar. Y desde el foro, pues se van a implementar también procesos que permitan garantizar todo este proceso. Yo creo que este espacio es bastante significativo para un sector, para una cadena que le aporta mucho a lo que tiene que ver el mundo, que es la seguridad alimentaria, pero igualmente también miramos desde los productores, han venido realizando un trabajo y siguen exponiendo las diferentes problemáticas. Igual estamos ahí, pero de los trabajadores también, los pequeños productores, que en ocasiones a veces tienen dificultad a resolver la situación, pero lo importante es que nos podamos poner de acuerdo y poder mejorar. Este espacio también nos ha contribuido a que los compromisos de sostenibilidad avancen hacia resultados concretos de trabajo decente. Eso ha sido un tema que lo hemos venido trabajando. No queremos simplemente mostrar, que se muestre lo que se hace, lo bonito, pero dejamos de lado una cantidad de cosas que a veces nos falta todavía por mejorar. Yo soy muy optimista de todo este proceso y sé que lo vamos a lograr. Entendiendo la sostenibilidad, digamos, donde todos podamos aportar, pero que también todos podamos ganar. No solamente que una parte sea la que gane y la otra, pues entonces sea la marginada. Entonces, desde ese aspecto, COLSIBA pues ha venido trabajando en sus diferentes organizaciones a nivel de América Latina, donde todos los países de América Latina, pues muchas de sus organizaciones están, digamos, hacen parte de la COLSIBA y desde ahí hemos venido trabajando desde hace muchos años. Así que es un espacio significativo y que lo valoro y lo vamos a seguir valorando durante mucho tiempo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Adela, por sus palabras. Thank you very much, Adela, for your words and sharing your insights and the useful comments and feedback that you have given from your experience working with the World Banana Forum. And you've insisted on the possibility to have a structured debate on decent wages, on living wages, on working conditions for workers. You have also mentioned social security, freedom of association, and collective bargaining. All these are very important topics for workers. And you have mentioned that thanks to the enabling environment and dialogue space that the forum provides, it's possible to discuss about these issues and try to make progress on it. And you have also shared your optimism regarding the possibility to continue making progress, together also with the ILO, the International Labour Organization. So thank you very much. We have heard all of panelists. I wanted to ask the Secretariat, maybe Mateus or Adriele, if there are questions to the panelists from the audience.
I think, Pascal, some questions were made in the Q&A box, but they were answered already. So I don't see any pending questions that require to be addressed.
Okay, thank you, Adriele. It's good that the questions have all been answered. So I wanted to ask our panelists very quickly, because I see we have only a quarter of an hour left, so we don't have so much time, but I wanted to ask the panelists, since we are here, we are discussing also the Agenda 2030. We are here within the context of the United Nations, and as you know, Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals are very important. We know that the international community is late in terms of achieving the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. We know also that the banana sector has made a lot of progress, especially if we look back at where the sector was back in the 1970s, 1980s, when the sector was characterized by very strong conflicts between, on the one hand, worker organizations and company managers, or between countries, also Latin American countries and importing countries. There was lots of tensions in the banana sector. And I think a lot of progress has been made, which is, of course, thanks to all the efforts made by all the stakeholder groups to try, to sit together at the table and discuss and find solutions together to the common challenges, instead of criticizing and accusing each other. And in this, we understand that the Banana Forum has played a significant role, and this is really good. But then, looking at all the progress that needs to be done in the banana sector, but also in other sectors, which may be less advanced than the banana sector, what lessons would you try to give, what advice would you like to give to, for example, people who are your counterparts in other sectors? For example, it could be the pineapple sector or the sugar sector or the cocoa or coffee sectors, the cut flower sector. They are all very important, tropical export sectors, tropical export industries. What kind of advice, would you like to give to people in these sectors so that, more progress can be made within the less than 5 years that remained until 2030 and the set date for the Agenda 2030? So maybe I could turn to Mario Arvelo from the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic exports also many other tropical agricultural products. What would you like to say, to other export industries in your country in terms of sustainability and ensuring that more progress is made to meet the SDGs?
Gracias, Pascal. Voy a utilizar el español para dar también, como hizo una de las colegas que habló por los trabajadores, darle un poco de descanso, creo que fue Adela, a los intérpretes al español. Sí, yo tengo muy claro, porque como sabes, Pascal, y lo mencionaste, y Víctor también hizo alguna referencia, he estado involucrado en el foro desde su concepción, desde su nacimiento, hace ya 16 años. Entonces, durante todo este trayecto, he venido reiterando en todo momento a mis colegas, a los que fueron mis colegas durante los muchos años que estuve en Roma, y que están ahora como yo, muchos de ellos en sus propios gobiernos. Sigo en contacto con ellos para temas, como dices muy bien, no solo del banano, también del cacao, del arroz, de toda una serie de productos, habichuelas, que son de la dieta natural de nuestros países, pero que también forman parte de un ecosistema global de producción, de trabajadores, de comercializadores, hasta llegar, por supuesto, a los consumidores. Y el Foro Mundial Bananero lo vemos nosotros en República Dominicana, y lo deben ver no solo los productores, sino también los consumidores, como una herramienta estratégica. Herramienta estratégica porque en el foro coinciden, convergen toda una serie de elementos que son clave para no solo el banano, sino para también todos estos productos. Debe haber una coherencia y una convergencia de políticas públicas, de contribuciones, como hemos visto en este foro, en este panel, en esta actividad, de sector privado, de los que invierten, los que producen, los trabajadores, los comercializadores, los que aportan conocimientos técnicos, el mundo académico, en fin, todos los actores involucrados estamos contribuyendo al logro de los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Ya lo dijiste, apenas estamos ya terminando el primer mes del año 26. Para el 31 de diciembre de 2030 tenemos que presentar estos resultados, y el Foro Mundial Bananero tiene un impacto. El primer objetivo de desarrollo sostenible, el fin de la pobreza. El segundo, el fin del hambre, la promoción del trabajo decente. Sobre esto acabamos de escuchar a Adela y a otros también que han intervenido. La producción y el consumo responsables. La acción por el clima, tan importante, tan frágil que es este banano, que es la hierba más grande del mundo, y que es también, como dije en mi intervención anterior y quiero reiterar porque es un tema clave, carece de diversidad biológica. El banano Cavendish nace en 1834 en un invernadero en Inglaterra, y todas las unidades que tenemos en el mundo son clones de esa planta original que Lord Cavendish creó en su estudio. Entonces, la protección de los ecosistemas, el tratamiento y gestión del agua, en fin, hay un impacto diría yo, así rápidamente, en más de la mitad de los objetivos de desarrollo sostenibles. Y el Foro Mundial Bananero es, para concluir ya, esta herramienta estratégica que debemos proteger. Desde mi punto de mira, desde mi labor cotidiana, desde los gobiernos, pero también desde todos los eslabones de esta cadena productiva que van desde aquel que siembra los hijuelos del banano hasta aquel que lo consume, ese consumidor final. Y sin olvidar que hay un componente aquí muy peculiar, y es que el banano, si vemos un mapa, si vemos el globo, vamos a ver lo que en inglés se llama el Sun Belt, toda la zona tropical. Es allí donde se produce el banano. Y el banano se consume en todas partes. Entonces, el peso que lleva la producción del banano en los términos en los cuales hemos hablado aquí en esta actividad recae sobre los países en desarrollo. Ya conocemos, por ejemplo, la introducción de Konrad Adenauer, el entonces líder de la entonces República Federal Alemana, la Alemania Occidental, cuando en los años 50 introdujo legislación para modificar las bases de lo que hoy es la Unión Europea. Esto es incluso antes de la firma del Tratado de Roma en 1957, que es el que da origen a la antigua Comunidad Económica, lo que es hoy la Unión Europea. Hubo una excepción particular por el banano, porque Adenauer tenía los números en la mano y supo que en Alemania no se produce un solo banano y que el banano es de un alto consumo en Alemania. Entonces ya ahí comienza a haber, hace más de 60, 70 años, una indicación de la importancia que adquiriría el banano tanto para países ultradesarrollados, países en desarrollo y todos los que están en medio, mucho antes, digamos, medio siglo antes de la creación del Foro Mundial Bananero. Es decir, yo podría, como sabes Pascal, y sabe Víctor, y saben los colegas en el secretariado, yo podría hablar durante horas sobre este tema, pero quisiera ya dejarlo ahí. Es decir, la historia nos enseña, desde la banana Gros Michel, que desapareció a consecuencia justamente de su debilidad genética, y los retos existenciales que tiene la Cavendish hoy día y todas las musáceas, que tenemos que trabajar juntos, tenemos que trabajar unidos. Los gobiernos no pueden solucionar esto ni individualmente, ni siquiera de forma colectiva. Tiene que estar presente el sector privado, tiene que estar presente la sociedad civil, las organizaciones de trabajadores, el mundo académico, los técnicos. Todos los actores tienen que estar juntos y la plataforma donde lo pueden hacer es el Foro Mundial Bananero, hospedado en la Organización para la Alimentación y la Agricultura de las Naciones Unidas. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Mario. Thank you for your word of support and also for explaining what is at stake in terms of multi-stakeholder collaboration and the challenges of meeting the SDGs. So as I think everybody knows now, the forum works a lot on gender equity. We have a task force on gender equity in the banana industry. So in the interest of gender equity, I will ask a lady of our panel to conclude, since we have only 3 minutes left before the end of the panel. I would like to ask Christelle, from your perspective, Christelle, what, in terms of meeting the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, what are the areas where the forum should redouble efforts and do more in order, to help? Of course, the banana sector alone won't, solve all the challenges that the whole world is facing in terms of meeting the SDGs. But what are the few areas where you think, the forum could and should do more with all its members?
Yes, I think all of them. But mainly, you mentioned the point earlier, which is gender equity. But overall, I think it's reducing inequalities. So for me, in terms of reducing inequalities, goes with looking also at smallholder producers, looking also at gender equity, and generally speaking, making sure that all the stakeholders, the one that could seem more fragile are also, taken on board so that their interests are also taken into account and are met. And the other one is decent work. Decent work because we all producing, we providing jobs irrespective of our size. We are all work providers, and for me, decent work goes with also what the World Banana Forum has been working very hard on, which is health and safety, improving health and safety in our sector. I think that one is one that also embraces human rights, because health and safety will also go with a community evolving around our farms. So for me, this would be the two main ones. Obviously, environment is key with sustainable production. So it's actually three, which we will need, I think, over the next few years, keep emphasizing, improving the work that is already being carried out. And obviously around shared responsibility, because it's not just down to, it shouldn't be left down to the producers to meet all those improvement criteria. But as we are saying, as we have been saying so far, actually is also to work with our buyers to improve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christelle, for these inspiring conclusions and also this invitation to the World Banana Forum to do more in these areas. Of course, as you said, progress would be needed in all areas of activities of the forum across the three dimensions of sustainability, economic, environmental, and social. We cannot forget the economic dimension, because if there's no profitability, of course, it's impossible to make any progress on the environmental and social aspects. And also your call again for shared responsibility, which is, I think, a common plea that has been heard through all the interventions today in our panel for all our distinguished panelists, the need for shared responsibility across the supply chain, starting from producers, but all the way down to retailers and even consumers. Consumers have a role to play also in choosing bananas that are sustainable, not looking only at price, not basing their choice on price only or on the cheapest price, but really looking at the sustainability content, the ethical quality of bananas. I think it's important. It's not only the visual quality, the organoleptic quality, but it's also the ethical quality of bananas that pay a fair price to their producers, that enable farmers and their family to live, workers to get a decent wage and have decent working conditions, and everybody a price that allows everybody along the supply chain, all the actors, to make a decent living, and to continue their work and to invest always more in improving the sustainability of the product and of the industry. So with this, I see that we've already reached the end of our panel, but I would like to thank very much all the distinguished panelists, to thank again also Lauren Phillips for her welcoming remarks, to thank a big thank you also to the World Banana Forum Secretariat and to our colleagues from the the partnership unit of FAO, who have supported and made this event possible. We very much appreciate your support. And of course, it doesn't stop there. The World Banana Forum will continue its work and will continue its discussion and its collaboration so that we can advance on all the topics that were mentioned today for the betterment of the banana industry and for everybody along these supply chains, the global banana supply chains.